You can listen to them for free right here, or you can also listen on the iHeartRadio app. We would never charge you for Rays baseball. That's the beautiful thing about radio. As much as people want to hate on it sometimes, might be old school, but you know what new school is? New school's expensive, and we are not. We give you everything for free. But when everything is free, then you get products like me. So you got to take it with a you get some, you lose some. What can you do? We're talking about the Rays a lot in segment number 1. We were talking about the bullpen yesterday, having a great bullpen day. Ian Seymour being the lone guy to give up runs, but the text line pretty happy about that. The text line, apparently everybody went with the over on the Hard Rock Bet app yesterday, which was 8.5. And the Rays had all 8 runs going into the bottom of the ninth, and that was when Seymour gave up 3 runs. So it seems like Rays fans are we got a lot of thank you Seymour text for letting the over hit. Love the Rays bullpen. That's from Glenn G. And Tim, looks like you were getting a lot of advice on the text. What are you running, a gambling service back there? So many people are writing in, Tim, I hope you took the over. I told you it was the over.
Well, I told you, hey, the yesterday had all the makings of a great betting day. And it worked out.
Well, if we would have placed the bet of, hey, see, that's why I said I didn't trust the White Sox. We said everything was pointing towards the White Sox. The April 15th curse, bullpen day, hammer the White Sox. But I said I don't believe in the White Sox enough to bet in them, so I laid off it. Hopefully everybody else did too. But over 8.5 we thought would hit because we thought the Rays bullpen would give up, plenty of runs. But yeah, they made it close up until that 9th inning. But I think it's funny how the text line, you're thanking your guy today for giving up 3 runs. I can't imagine very often we'll get thank you text to Ian Seymour for giving up 3 runs.
Oh, I was losing my mind. I'm just sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me. Not that I had any fear of them blowing an 8-run lead, but holy cow.
I know. I'll be honest, I didn't even get to watch the 9th. That 7:40 start. It's weird. So I went to I want to say I saw the Fraley home run. And, I saw those kids catch the ball, and it looked like they were calling somebody immediately on face. They're pumped, and that's what baseball's all about, moments like that. I saw the Fraley home run. It's just this team is getting it from everywhere right now, which is awesome. So I saw the Fraley home run, and that's kind of the last thing I remember after that. And then I saw DeLuca hit a home run in that same spot, pinch hitting for Fraley. That's the most Rays move ever, and it worked out. But it's like only the Rays take the guy out that hit a home run in the previous inning, pinch hit him, and again, it worked out because Johnny DeLuca came in and hit a home run, but only the Rays, take out the guy that hit the home run the inning before. But I guess, the analytics probably tell you he's not going to do that again because it's pretty rare when people go back-to-back home runs, but regardless.
And yet the analytics said Johnny DeLuca would hit a home run in that exact same spot the very next at-bat?
No, they probably not. Probably not.
No.
By the way, I learned that my math is pretty bad because I said if you decided the Rays were going to lose 100 games, you're still not wrong. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but you're still not wrong. And I said until they get to 73 wins or whatever it is. Somebody pointed out on the text line, 62 is what they need to get to. 63 technically. I don't know how I failed at that one. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I guess that's just what happens when you're on live radio. You don't know.
Just math being math.
Somebody also on the text line, what happened to the older gentleman that collapsed last night at the Rays game? Yeah, the anthem singer collapsed last night at the game. That was a scary situation. Expected to make a full recovery. I believe he is a very popular anthem singer in Chicago. Now, I didn't get to the game until the bottom of the first. Was that on TV last night? Do you know? Did you catch it in the beginning?
I didn't catch it either. I just looked it up. I was on Twitter, and then I turned the game on, and Twitter exploded with that.
But I didn't see any videos of it on Twitter, did you? Yeah, I didn't either.
No, and I mean, that's a good thing. We don't need to see that. We've seen a lot.
No, I agree. But I mean, they put everything on Twitter. I don't think it was on TV, or at least not on the Rays broadcast, so I didn't see it. But expected to make a full recovery.
That's good.
Thankfully. Yeah, so I talked about it before the break. I wanted to talk a little bit about the NFL draft, and we'll talk a lot more football tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be kind of like a football Friday almost, even though it's not football season, because it's the last Friday before the NFL draft, which, by the way, all your draft coverage on draft day, we're going to have it for you. T-Kraz, of course, will be on. We're going to be on. T-Kraz will be on. The Pat Aaron Show. You're going to get all the regular lineup. And then at 6 o'clock, we have the Joe Bucs Fan Show that's going to be on, which is going to be great. Those guys always have fantastic inside information that they'll be able to give you. And then the official Buccaneers radio draft coverage with Rock Riley and Pat Donovan going to be on at 7 o'clock on draft night. So if you can't sit down in front of the TV, watch the draft, you got to work the third shift, we'll have you covered. And what's cool about our draft coverage is everything surrounding the Buccaneers and how each pick, it's going to affect the Buccaneers, where you don't get that on TV, right? It's about the Chiefs and Mahomes and Andy Reid and all the other teams except for the Buccaneers. But we're going to have you covered. Now, I want to take back something that I said a couple weeks ago on the airwaves. And I'm allowed to do – can I retract a take that I had? Am I allowed to do that?
You're pushing it, but yeah, I think you can. A couple weeks,
I think that it hasn't happened yet, so I think I can retract it.
Exactly. As long as it hasn't happened, that's a good rule of thumb.
I had said that I think if the Buccaneers try to replace Mike Evans in round number 1, that it would be a big mistake. I no longer feel that way. Because as we get closer and closer to draft day, and I continue to study how this draft is going to play out, and I look at the talent in the draft, and I've said this a couple times now, it's going to be so defensive heavy up front that I think the Bucs, if they're stuck at pick 15, I think Jason Licht truly wants to move back in a perfect world and collect more picks, and I think he should. He's much better in the later rounds, and he could do that. His third round, he's fantastic. Jacob Parrish, Dikey Smith, just to name a few. He's really good. Yaya Diaby, wasn't he a third-round pick? He was a third or a fourth. So he's been good in those rounds. But, if he's stuck at 15, I really think an offensive name is going to be called. And we gave you a couple names yesterday. We talked about Kenyon Sadiq, and we talked about the guard out of Penn State. Those are really two viable options for the Buccaneers. And I don't hate either of those picks. I started to watch film on Kenyon Sadiq today. I don't want to say he's a comp to Mike Evans, because that's not right. I'm never going to compare someone to Mike Evans. But I think he can be to the Bucs what Mike is. Again, I don't want to get myself in trouble by comparing him to Mike, but he can kind of play that role a little bit. Like, yes, he's a tight end, but he lines up in so many different positions, and he can line up in that X spot and be that downfield threat. And he was that for Oregon. He also lined up in the slot. He also lined up at tight end. And for those telling me that, they just re-signed Kate Otten, they can't pick a tight end, they are not the same player. And Kenyon Sadiq can be on the field at the same time as Otten. Otten's not a red zone target. Kenyon Sadiq is. That's the one thing that this wide receiver room is missing, is a really good red zone target, and Sadiq can be that. And if the draft is just going to be Mendoza followed by defense, if they go defense at 15, they're really reaching. And so I'm taking it up to me to just prepare everybody, brace yourselves. An offensive player's name might be called at pick number 15. Jenna Lane of ESPN asked Jason Licht if one of the best players in the draft is not a perceived immediate need. And here was his response to that. Basically, she's asking, if the best player available is a position you guys don't technically need, would you still draft said player? Here was his response yesterday. And by the way, here's the full question from Jenna as well.
Look, you guys tipped us off. Hey, there's a receiver that's there. Mecca Bucca, I don't think anybody's complaining about that today. But, say there's a really good, one of the best players in the draft is there when you're drafting, but it's not at that perceived immediate need. What's the thought process like?
No problem if we view the player as a high-end, very high-end talent that's going to make an impact at some point. I have no problem.
Yeah, he has no problem going away from the edge position, away from the linebacker position. Look, if Sonny Styles is there at 15, he's going to take him. Is he guaranteed to be there at 15? Probably not. And he's going to take the best player available, and I just think the best player available is going to be an offensive guy. He did it last year, and I think he's in a position to do it again. He likes edge rushers, but he just knows that at 15, the best guys aren't there. They haven't had an opportunity to draft those guys. Now, they could have taken James Pierce last year, but then we have issues. James Pierce, there were clear signs of that at Tennessee. The guy took himself out of games when he didn't need to be. And then he had the whole fiasco where he led police on a chase. Now, maybe that doesn't happen if he's in Tampa Bay. It's something in the water in Georgia. Whether you play for the Bulldogs or the Falcons, you end up in a car chase. You end up with a driving record. But the more and more, like if I had to bet on it, I would think they're going offense if they stay at 15. Now, a lot of the press conference yesterday, and there's more audio from it, I just don't think a lot of it's worth playing because it's like every question is, could you take a safety? Could you take a tight end? And he's not going to tell you what he's taking, right? And when we were talking about it with the group this morning, Chris Mathis said he believes all of it's smoke with the Sadiq. He's trying to get someone to come up and take him. That's partially true, I think. But I think if they are at 15, I do think they're going to go offense. And I think people are going to be really upset by it, but I don't think you should be because I don't think it's the end of the world if they end up going offense. I think they're going to go best player available. And I said I believe a couple weeks ago, always going best player available unless you're the Buccaneers. You got to go best defensive player available. I'm retracting that statement. They got to go best player available. I'm really starting to like Sadiq. I don't know if he gets past the Ravens, but I also don't see a problem with upgrading at left guard. Bredesen's been okay. He's coming off of an injury. But if you have an opportunity to get the best guard in the draft, why not? Because I think if you're going edge rusher, I think if you're going linebacker, there's a good chance you're reaching on a guy probably 15, 16 picks ahead of where he should go. I think offense is happening. I really do. And my job is to prepare you for that so you're not pulling your hair out on draft night, calling Jason Light a moron. We'll talk more about let's talk more about the draft on the other side, Tim. We'll stick with it, and then we got an update on the stadium, of course, too. An email that Ken Babby sent to a county administrator that leaked to the press. So we'll talk about all that coming up next.